Welcome to This Explainer. Okay, quick question for you. Did you know that billions of dollars are lost globally every single year simply because cross border deals fall apart at the very last hurdle? I mean, have you ever wondered what actually happens behind closed doors when multiple languages, entirely different legal systems, and literally massive fortunes are on the line? Well, today we are unpacking the critical mechanics of international business negotiations. We're going to take all those complex theories of cross border deal making and transform them into a practical, actionable blueprint that you can use to really understand the global market. So, think about this. How exactly does a massive US tech giant successfully acquire an Indian startup? It sounds super straightforward on paper, right? One company just buys another. But the reality? Oh, cross-border deals are incredibly complex. It's like a giant puzzle. You're dealing with different legal jurisdictions, totally distinct cultural values, and varied communication styles. Pulling this off requires so much more than just a really big checkbook. It requires a highly specialized set of negotiation skills. Okay, let's dive right into this. Here is our blueprint for today. First, we'll look at the global deal-making landscape. Second, why negotiation skills matter. Third, navigating cross-border challenges. Fourth, preparing for the table, and finally, we'll walk through the six-step negotiation process. Let's start with part one, the global deal-making landscape. To truly grasp how negotiations work, we first need to appreciate the sheer scale of global business operations that rely entirely on successful, structured dialogue. Whether it involves massive governments determining complex trade policies or private corporations trying to expand their footprint, negotiation is the absolute bedrock of international trade. It's the engine that allows companies from totally different parts of the world to align their interests, share resources, and ultimately grow together. Without systematic and careful negotiation, international business literally just grinds to a halt. And this brilliantly illustrates just how wide-ranging this is. The sheer variety of high-stakes transactions is staggering. We aren't just talking about buying and selling widgets here. We're looking at joint ventures, where two foreign companies get together and create an entirely new business entity. We're talking about mergers and acquisitions to gain market dominance, long-term supply contracts to stabilize manufacturing, intellectual property licensing to share vital technology, and distributor partnerships to penetrate brand new regions. And guess what? Every single one of these requires a totally tailored negotiation strategy. Moving on to part two, why negotiation skills matter. We know what these transactions look like, but why is mastering these specific skills so absolutely crucial? Well, for starters, effective negotiation directly drives long-term profitability by securing way better pricing and terms. But it's not just about getting a signature on a piece of paper. More importantly, it acts as a defensive shield. It mitigates massive international and political risks. It promotes cultural harmony by fostering mutual respect, and it drastically reduces the chances of really costly legal disputes down the line. It basically ensures that your strategic alignment is rock solid. Which brings us to part three, navigating cross-border challenges. Now, entering an international negotiation is kind of like walking into a minefield of potential misunderstandings if you aren't properly prepared. And what's really interesting about this dynamic is communication styles. Think about it. If a negotiator from the USA or Germany comes in with a highly direct, let's get down to business approach and sits right across from a team from Japan, China, or India who heavily value indirect communication and consensus building, sparks are going to fly. Without that cultural awareness, the direct approach is easily seen as aggressive, while the indirect approach can be totally misunderstood as evasive. But wait, there's more. Beyond just how we talk to each other, the deal-breaker minefield includes differing views on time itself. In some places, showing up 5 minutes late is a massive insult. In others, it's just the standard warm-up routine. Then you have to throw in incredibly complex legal and regulatory discrepancies, the ever-present threat of political instability, conflicting ethical standards, and the huge danger that a simple translation error could alter a contract's meaning entirely. A misunderstanding over literally any of these points can easily cost a company millions. All right, part four, preparing for the table. So how do we actually neutralize all these threats? Well, we prepare. We shift from identifying the problems to building strategic solutions. And the single most powerful concept you can ever bring to the table is your BATNA, your best alternative to a negotiated agreement. Before you even pull up a chair, you absolutely must define the lowest level of agreement you are willing to accept without hurting your own interests. It is your ultimate backup plan.
Knowing your walkaway point gives you incredible confidence and completely prevents you from signing a catastrophic, unfavorable deal just for the sake of closing.
But here's the thing, you really can't go it alone. Successful global companies don't just send their CEO into a room and cross their fingers. No way. They deploy a targeted, multidisciplinary dream team. You need finance experts to rigorously analyze those budgets and the ROI. You need legal experts to make sure the contract actually holds up across totally different international jurisdictions. You need technical leads to verify product compatibility. And crucially, you need cultural communication experts to navigate local etiquette and prevent those disastrous misunderstandings we talked about a minute ago. Let's move to part 5 and see how this all builds together. The 6-step negotiation process. Okay, so once you have your dream team and your BATNA locked in, how do you actually run the meeting? Think of this 6-step procedure as your ultimate survival parachute. Step 1, preparation and planning. That's gathering your intel and setting those hard limits. Step 2, building relationships, which, as we've seen, is actually a strict prerequisite for doing business in a lot of cultures. Step 3, exchanging information so both sides clearly understand the expectations. Step 4 is the real core phase, bargaining and risk sharing, where price, delivery schedules, and legal clauses actually get hammered out. Step 5, closing the agreement by signing the contract. And finally, Step 6, implementation and follow-up, just to ensure the day-to-day reality actually matches the paperwork. To ground all this theory in reality, let's look at Walmart. When the world's biggest retailer wanted to enter India's massive market, they couldn't just open up their standard big box stores. Why? Because of strict foreign direct investment rules. They had to rigorously apply those exact 6 steps. By negotiating a strategic partnership with party enterprises and deeply, truly understanding local retail laws and cultural preferences, they successfully entered the market through a highly specialized cash-and-carry wholesale model. So the crucial point here is that cultural sensitivity and thorough preparation yield massive results. When India's Tata Motors acquired the iconic British brands Jaguar and Land Rover, it wasn't just a simple financial transaction. It was an absolute masterclass in negotiation. Tata prioritized discussions around securing the employment of British workers, they meticulously handled intellectual property rights, and they protected the future branding of JLR. That level of comprehensive, deeply empathetic negotiation is exactly what made the acquisition so highly successful. Which leaves us with this final thought. The global market is vast, it's complex, and it is full of incredible opportunities for those who know exactly how to navigate it. And now, you've got the blueprint. You understand the different transactions, the cultural landmines to watch out for, the absolute necessity of your BATNA, and the proven 6-step process to pull the whole shebang together. The only question left is, are you ready to take a seat at the table and negotiate? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and as always, keep learning.